Till about 6 months ago, if I would have told you that Prime Minister Modi and President Trump had finally struck a tariff deal without even meeting each other in a summit or a bilateral, we would have been called delusional. After months of icy statements and avoiding each other at summits, it seems like US-India relations are finally on the mend. And our neighbor, Pakistan, should be worried. Very worried. A phone call between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump delivered a mini trade deal that slashed India facing US tariffs from a brutal 25% plus 25% punitive duties to a far friendlier 18%. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar was in America at the same moment, walking straight into a high-level critical minerals summit that Pakistan seemingly did not get invited to. Meanwhile, Islamabad's leaders kept waving boxes of shiny rocks, lobbying and flattering and pleading, and Washington kept looking the other way. So is this just a tactical pause, or is Trump quietly preparing to kick Pakistan to the curb? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan, live from Dubai. In 2025, India-US relations plunged into an ugly phase as Trump imposed reciprocal tariffs and additional punitive duties linked to India's Russian oil purchases. Indian exporters took a hit. New Delhi pushed back. The relationship turned stiff and avoidant. February's breakthrough phone conversation converted this ice into substance, producing immediate tariff relief and fresh momentum. While India moved from penalty box to partner, Pakistan moved from hopeful suitor to silent spectator. If this is not a strategic recalibration by Washington, then what is? The numbers explain why the thaw matters. Before the deal, Indian steel, pharmaceuticals, textiles and manufactured goods faced an effective 25 plus 25% tariff wall in the US market. That wall now stands at 18%. The 25% reciprocal duty dropped. The 25% Russian oil penalty vanished. For Indian exporters, this is not symbolism, it is oxygen. For Trump, it delivers a tangible America First win by extracting energy purchases, market opening commitments, and large-scale US export opportunities. For Modi, it restores competitiveness and stabilizes one of India's most important trading relationships. This is classic transactional diplomacy, and both leaders clearly like it that way. Trump made the personal dimension explicit. He credited friendship and respect. He publicly described Modi as a close friend. Modi reciprocated with warm language and gratitude for relief that benefits made in India exports. This is not accidental phrasing. It signals political comfort at the top. It recalls the Houston and Ahmedabad mega events. It revives a style of leader-to-leader engagement that bypasses bureaucratic frostiness. In Trump's world, personal rapport lubricates deals. Right now, Modi has that channel. Pakistan does not. India's concessions underline why Washington took the call seriously. New Delhi pledged to halt Russian oil purchases and sharply increase imports of US LNG, coal, and energy products. India committed to major Buy American surges across energy, technology, and agriculture over the coming years. Non-tariff barriers came down. Defense and nuclear purchases moved forward. No grand free trade agreement yet, but a bridge toward one, tied to a $500 billion bilateral trade target by 2030. These are large, legible, bankable commitments. Trump understands big numbers. India brought big numbers. Now compare that with Pakistan's pitch. Islamabad chose minerals as its comeback story. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Army Chief Asim Munir personally showcased rare earth samples. A $500 million partnership framework with a US company surfaced. Pakistani officials stocked up copper, antimony, and rare earth elements from Balochistan as alternatives to Chinese supply. Media campaigns pushed a staggering claim of $6 trillion in untapped mineral wealth. The problem is not ambition. The problem is credibility. Independent and official data do not support Pakistan's trillion-dollar fantasies. Pakistan's mineral and quarrying sector produced about $6.5 billion in output in the financial year 2020. Mineral exports stayed below $1 billion. Observers place realistically recoverable mineral potential closer to $100 to $300 billion spread over decades. That is a respectable figure. It is not a geopolitical game changer, though. It is certainly not a shortcut back into Washington's strategic good books. Even Pakistan's rare earth story looks thin. Independent estimates place total reserves between 100,000 and 400,000 tons. India's established reserves exceed 7 million tons. The United States itself holds more than 2 million tons. More importantly, Pakistan lacks significant rare earth deposits, which are precisely what Washington worries about most. And the celebrated shipment containing neodymium and praseodymium almost certainly consisted of raw ore, not refined oxides. In mineral economics, raw ore is noise. Processing capacity is power. This is where India's advantage becomes decisive. India does not sell minerals as a standalone gimmick. India embeds minerals inside a larger industrial vision. Domestic exploration, auctioned mineral blocks, overseas acquisition of lithium assets, processing clusters, dedicated rare earth corridors, manufacturing hubs, EV supply chains, semiconductor fabs, defense production. Everything links to everything else. Washington does not see India as a miner. Washington sees India as an ecosystem builder. That is why Jaishankar's presence at the Critical Minerals Ministerial matters so much. It signals that the US sees India as part of the solution to China's processing dominance. It signals that India is not merely a buyer waiting in line, but a partner capable of shaping supply chains. It signals trust. Now, about Pakistan's supposed absence. There have been some rather conflicting reports regarding Pakistan's attendance, with Pakistani media saying that while a high-level delegation was not present, a low-level delegation has been having meetings about the deal. Minerals alone do not compensate for political instability, insurgency in Balochistan, civil-military friction, chronic debt, IMF dependence, and long-standing terrorism concerns. Add Pakistan's deep entanglement with China through CPEC, and the picture becomes even clearer. A summit designed to reduce reliance on China will not prioritize a country welded to China. From Trump's perspective, the strategic math is blunt. India offers scale, market size, political stability, manufacturing ambition, and a role in balancing China. Pakistan offers risk, uncertainty, and diminishing strategic utility. During the Afghanistan era, Pakistan mattered as a logistics corridor. That era ended. Trump's second-term worldview revolves around deals, leverage, and optics. India fits that worldview. Pakistan does not. This is why Pakistan received no tariff relief while India received massive relief. This is why Trump posts warmly about Modi while Pakistani leaders issue statements hoping to be noticed. This is why India sits inside rooms where rules are being written while Pakistan waits outside for side meetings. The thaw in India-US relations, therefore, is not cosmetic. It is structural. It rests on trade, energy, minerals, technology, and manufacturing. It rests on mutual transactional benefit. It rests on political comfort at the top. For Pakistan, this moment is uncomfortable because it exposes a hard truth. Washington no longer sees Islamabad as indispensable. No amount of flattery or mineral show and tell substitutes for stability, scale, and strategic alignment. Pakistan's leadership can continue marketing itself as a mineral frontier. The US has quietly decided that India is the safer bet. Geopolitics rarely announces breakups with speeches. It announces them through invitations not sent, calls not returned, and deals signed with someone else. Right now, the invitations go to India, the calls go to Modi, and the deals go to New Delhi. And that is why this thaw is more than a temporary warming. It looks like a reordering. India back in favor, Pakistan sliding out of the frame. Trump choosing the partner that delivers size, certainty, and leverage. In South Asia's unforgiving power game, that choice carries consequences. Those consequences stretch far beyond tariffs and trade statistics. When India regains economic traction with the United States, it strengthens the foundations of its manufacturing base. It exports engine and its industrial confidence. A healthier export sector means more capital for domestic investment. More domestic investment means faster build-out of factories, processing facilities, and technology ecosystems. And those ecosystems directly feed into defense manufacturing, electronics, EV batteries, and strategic industries. This is power accumulation through economics. Pakistan, by contrast, remains stuck trying to sell raw potential instead of demonstrating finished capability. Trump understands this distinction instinctively. He gravitates toward countries that can absorb large volumes of American exports and generate visible wins. India's pledge to ramp up US energy, technology, and agricultural imports fits perfectly into that instinct. Pakistan simply cannot match that scale. Even if Islamabad somehow unlocked every mineral it claims to possess, it still lacks the industrial depth to turn those resources into a multi-decade economic partnership with the United States. There is also deeper irony at play. Pakistan has spent decades insisting that it is a frontline state deserving special treatment. Yet, when the front line of global competition shifted from battlefields to supply chains, Pakistan found itself poorly equipped. Supply chain geopolitics reward countries that can guarantee stability, continuity, and infrastructure. Pakistan struggles with all three. India, on the other hand, spent years building the boring foundations that rarely make headlines: large domestic markets, expanding industrial corridors, policy frameworks linking mining to manufacturing, a diplomatic style that emphasizes predictability. None of this looks flashy. All of it looks trustworthy. Trust in today's strategic economy converts directly into access. Trump's pivot toward India and away from Pakistan, therefore, does not reflect sentimentality. It reflects ruthless cost-benefit analysis. India offers high upside and manageable risk. Pakistan offers low upside and high risk. Even for a famously unpredictable president, that is an easy call. The personal warmth between Modi and Trump amplifies this structural reality. Leaders who enjoy speaking to each other are more willing to override bureaucratic resistance. They are more willing to cut mini deals. They are more willing to frame compromises as victories. Pakistan lacks that personal channel. Sharif and Munir can lobby. They cannot replicate chemistry. This matters because future negotiations will follow the same pattern. If India pushes for further tariff relief, Washington now has a framework to discuss it. If India seeks deeper mineral partnerships, Washington already treats India as a legitimate player. If Pakistan seeks comparable concessions, it must first convince the US that Pakistan can deliver long-term stability. That is a much steeper climb. Another uncomfortable truth for Islamabad lies in how Washington views China alignment. The entire critical minerals push exists to counter Chinese dominance in processing and refining. Pakistan remains deeply embedded in Chinese economic networks through CPEC. From Washington's perspective, integrating Pakistan into anti-China supply chain initiatives risks importing Chinese influence through the back door. India, despite managing its own complicated relationship with Beijing, does not function as a Chinese economic proxy. That distinction matters. When we think about why Pakistan was sidelined, we can see that the summit was about building alternatives to China. And Pakistan is not seen as an alternative. It is seen as adjacent to China, a satellite state. India, by contrast, positions itself as a multipolar player. It works with the US, it trades with Europe, it buys energy from Russia, it competes with China, it does not subordinate its economy to any single power. That autonomy makes India attractive as a partner in diversified supply chains. And that brings us back to the core reality. After a year of icy distance, India and the United States have rediscovered transactional alignment. A phone call turned into tariff relief. Tariff relief coincided with summit inclusion. Summit inclusion signaled strategic trust. Trust now feeds further cooperation. Pakistan, despite its mineral pitches and PR campaigns, stands outside this virtuous cycle. The thaw is real, the tilt is visible, and unless Pakistan undergoes a transformation in stability, credibility, and strategic orientation, this is not a temporary cold shoulder. It is a long winter. Thank you for watching Statecraft.